It's hurricane season.
And we're going to tell you what to do about your koi pond.
So we're going to talk a little bit about hurricane season. It is coming up.
We're actually in it now.
We're in Florida.
Yeah.
In case you weren't aware.
Yeah.
In case we didn't mention that before.
Otherwise known as Mother Nature's bowling alley.
Yeah. So it's just starting. I think what's it start? June 1st?
Yep.
June 1st. So it's about starting. Yeah. So we wanted to kind of tell you what happens because everybody has the chance of having anybody that lives on the coastline.
Yeah,
has a chance. So we'll tell you what we've done in the past.
Yeah, we have noticed that the hurricane seasons have been getting worse. I'm sure you all have noticed. And on any coast, whether it's the Gulf of Mexico or up the Atlantic coast and even the Pacific coast, you have a chance of getting hit by a hurricane.
Right.
Hurricanes are not fun. The only nice thing about them is that they usually give you warning that they're coming.
Yeah. Normally you have a day or two or 6, 12, 14, 20, 26, depending on the hurricane.
Right.
There are some that spring up overnight on the coastline. We've had a couple of those.
And then we had Charlie, who just made a sharp right turn and marched across Florida.
Yeah, and then you have the one that looped around and came back and smacked us.
Yeah.
But anyway, so hurricanes are a thing.
Yeah, when you start hearing buzz about a hurricane forming, you want to keep an eye on what the trajectory is, and don't just assume that if you're out of the area where the cone is, that you're going to be okay.
Right. Now how do we even start? I mean, because we have outdoor ponds, we have indoor ponds, and back in the day,
aquariums.
Back in the day, there was one outdoor pond. There was the above ground that had fish in it.
Yeah, which we call the patio pond.
We call the patio, and so they were much younger. The fish were.
Yeah, this is when we first started getting koi. So this was about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. And
we had a bunch of young fish in a 400-gallon pond that is above ground. And
so,
on top of it all, it's a liner pond at that. It's basically a wood structure with a liner and water in it.
Right. So we were a little concerned. So we brought all the fish inside. We bought a bunch of 55-gallon tanks.
Yeah, we got 4 55-gallon tanks.
Yeah, brought them all inside.
And set them up inside, and then threw filters in there, and then we brought all the fish inside. Then we had to drain the pond and cover it, knowing that it was going to, all the rain and the winds might knock things over, and the fact that it had a canopy, we could imagine a wind taking the whole thing and knocking it down. Right. So
and it did knock down the wall. But one of the things you have to have with fish, or highly recommended, is a generator.
Yes.
Just because they have to be aerated.
Right.
So you have to have a generator or bubblers. Bubblers work great for a few hours unless you have lots and lots of batteries.
Well, we'll get to the bubblers in a minute, but let's start with the generators.
Okay.
The generator is your best friend when it comes to if you have aquariums or ponds.
Right.
Or you have to bring your fish indoors and have a fake pond, which we'll talk about in a minute.
So many options.
You're going to want to, but you're going to want to be able to run your filters. Without the filters, the fish produce waste in the form of ammonia. Their filters aren't turning that into nitrate and then nitrite, or nitrite and then nitrate.
Whichever.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway,
you can let them know.
Yeah, anyway. What will happen is the fish will literally poison themselves.
Right.
And some fish are very, very, very sensitive to too much ammonia.
Right.
An ammonia spike can kill them overnight. We have lost a couple fish from just having a filter go out overnight.
Right.
We ended up losing one of our koi and a couple goldfish. And so we almost lost Igor at that time.
Right.
We managed to rescue her.
And that was an ammonia spike.
So that was an ammonia spike.
So it does happen. It happens even no matter how well you maintain. It only takes one thing to set it off, and it's like a chain.
Because I think that filter was out for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
And that's all it took.
It can happen, especially with the bigger, dirtier fish like we've discussed, like the carp. They produce a lot of waste, so the ammonia can spike very quickly if they're not maintained.
Right, so they have to have filters going all the time. They also
generators are your friend with fish.
Yes, so get a generator. If by any chance you can't get a generator,
right,
you're going to need to do a combination of two things. You're going to need an ammonia blocker. Right. We use Prime, but there's also products out there called Ammo Block and a few others.
Right.
This will neutralize the ammonia for a very short period of time. By very short, I mean a day or two, depending on the product.
Right. So if you know you're going to have power back in a day, Could you survive? Maybe.
But you really want to put prime in, and on top of it all, you want to put prime in before the storm hits. Like the day that the storm's planning on hitting, start your prime cycle.
Yeah.
And then or your ammonia block, depending on how long the block works. I mean, this one I think is 2 days, an ammonia block's 1 day or something like that.
Right.
You're basically going to want to note the time and make sure you add more every day or every 2 days at the time to keep that ammonia at bay, because that will. Now it's not removing the ammonia; it's just temporarily neutralizing.
Right, you'll have to do an emergency water change as soon as it's all set up.
As soon as you are able to,
right,
you're going to need to do a water change, like a big one.
Right.
And
when you put it in, if there's no filters and there's no movement, and you have to manually move it around in there.
Yeah.
To get it to move around the whole tank.
Which is why I say put it in before you lose electric.
Well, yeah, the first one, but I'm saying if they have to do it a second time. But again, it's best if you have a generator.
Yeah.
We highly recommend a generator. We actually have two. We have one just for the fish.
Yeah.
And one for everybody else.
Now, the other thing that you're going to need to do if you don't have a generator is you're going to have to provide aeration.
Right.
And what we
There's several ways to do that.
Yes, there are. Some easier than others.
Right.
The quick way for an aquarium.
This is an aquarium size. This is a smaller.
a bubble box. You can find these at fishing stores or sporting goods stores. Right. Fishermen use it to keep their bait alive. They also keep it to keep fish alive if they're planning to. They just stick it on the side of the cooler. And this is an air stone.
Right.
You can
use a little
you can use the little ones, or we have a bar on it. You put it in there. You turn it on, and it'll
bubble. It'll make bubbles. It'll make aeration.
Now, if you are going to go the bubble box route, you're going to want to make sure that you have lots of batteries on hand.
Because it only lasts a couple of hours.
Well, it lasts for about a day.
Well, no, those have never lasted that long. They might be older, because I've never seen them last more than 4 hours.
Yeah.
None of yours.
So you're definitely going to want to make sure
lots of batteries.
That you have lots of batteries. So, no generator, you better have lots of prime. We actually buy prime by the gallon now. I just happen to have a bottle to show you, but you can buy prime in half-gallon
Depends on how big
sizes,
your tank is. If you have a koi pond kind of thing.
Yeah, if you have a koi pond, you're definitely going to want a lot of it.
Right.
Or even more than 1 gallon. And you're going to need plenty of batteries. So all these need to go in your hurricane kit for your fish.
Yeah, that's sad. We have a hurricane kit for the fish.
Well, you have to.
I know. I'm just letting them know. Most people are like, "What? No, we have a hurricane. We're worried about the fish."
Yeah. Now we have had a situation where our electric went out.
Our last situation. Yeah. It wasn't long ago.
Yeah, our last situation where our electric went out and our generator was broken.
Yeah, which is going to be fixed tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, which is actually going to get fixed tomorrow. But our generator is broken, and
power went out for 12 hours. 12 hours.
So what we had to do was we put bubblers on the aquariums to keep them going. We primed everybody.
Right.
But the problem we had was aerating the ponds.
Yeah. So manually, every 15 minutes, we would take the pitcher and we would fill it with water and we would dump and dump and dump in the buckets, and we would take turns, one of us on each side, and we would bucket for 5-10 minutes, and then every 15 or 20 minutes we do it again. Yeah. Because again, this is a 1,000-gallon pond.
And a lot of fish.
So, and they're used to having a very large filtration system that they no longer have.
Well, they're used to large waterfalls, because this is all about
water. Yeah,
this is all about aeration.
We have the 4 waterfalls. We didn't have anything, so we had to do it manually.
Yeah.
And we did that. Shiva and I did that, and even your mom stepped in at one point and helped us for 12 hours. Well, we gave it 2 hours. The first 2 hours we didn't do anything, and then we got kind of nervous.
Right, and the fish were starting to
get gassed up at the top, so that's when we got worried. So we literally, for 10 of the 12 hours, every 15 or 20 minutes, we would spend 5 minutes aerating the tank on each side, both of us, or we would take turns, depending if one of us was exhausted, for 10 hours.
Yeah.
It was long, it was horrible, but it happens, and we didn't lose any fish.
No, we didn't lose any fish, but this is why generators are your friend.
Generators are your friend, and we made the mistake of letting the generator go bad, and we didn't get it fixed in time.
Yeah, so maintain your generators.
Yeah, apparently that's the thing. Shiva and I didn't know that.
Yeah, now we know.
Yeah, everybody else seemed to know it but us, and so we didn't do anything, and we didn't make sure that everybody else was doing their job.
Yeah. So It's probably do what we're doing and get your generators looked at the beginning of the season, if not earlier.
Right.
Make sure, get them checked out once a year. Make sure that they're running. You were told
Every
run them every 3
months.
months.
Every 3 months minimum. What he actually recommended was once a month, start it up, let it run for 5 or 10 minutes, but minimum of every 3 months.
Yeah.
From now on, it's going to be every month. Once they're up and running, I'm gonna put it on my calendar, and once a month I'm gonna harass Gareth until he starts them up.
Okay, now your generator kit. This is important, and it's something people don't think about. You can get generators that have, several different plugs, so you can plug more than one cord into them to run things.
Yes.
Like she said, we have two. We have one that runs our house, and the other is strictly for the ponds and aquariums. But you need to make sure that you have extension cords that are long
Lots
enough.
and lots of extension cords. We have a Boxo extension cords.
Yes, but you need to make sure that you have extension cords that are long enough to reach your aquariums, and you have to have a way to get to your aquariums, because you cannot keep a generator inside your house.
Right. So
we
literally one of our aquariums is the furthest one. I want to say is probably your mother's or mine, which are on the entire other side of the house, and it's a 5-bedroom house. It's a pretty big long house. Mm-hmm. So it literally took us 200 foot or 300 foot 200 foot extension cords to get to the other side of the house, just to plug in those two aquariums. Mm-hmm. And then we have to have splitters.
Yeah. God,
splitters are important. You can have all the extension cords you want in the world, but you only have so many plugs that are allowed in the machine.
Right.
Splitters are important.
Yeah,
we didn't have enough splitters. It was ugly.
So we get power bars now.
Yeah.
We've got power bars. We've got the outlet bars. We've got extension cords there, and that all stays together. So besides making sure that you've got plenty of power cords, another thing I should mention is make sure you get the heavy duty extension cords. Don't get the light.
Right, don't get the indoor ones, get the outdoor heavy-duty ones.
Get exterior heavy-duty extension cords.
Absolutely.
And then now you're going to have to be able to power your generators. So that means get gas. Get big gas cans.
Yeah, we have 2 large 5-gallon gas cans. Mm-hmm. We fill up the generators, we fill up the gas cans, we fill up the cars, we fill up the lawnmower, because we were ready to siphon if we needed. Yeah. We will siphon out of our cars, we will siphon out of the lawnmower, we'll do everything we can to keep the fish alive. It's really about the fish. How sad is that?
Yeah, but the fish are you have to provide them oxygen.
Right.
That's something that most people take for granted. Oh, my pets will be fine. No, your pets need oxygen.
Right.
So you have to be able to provide that, and you also have to make sure that they don't poison themselves by peeing in the water.
Right.
So,
which they are going to do.
Yes, there's no stopping.
And the more stress they get, the worse they get.
Right. Now, when you are dealing with all this, stop feeding your fish.
Right.
Now,
do not feed them. Yeah.
If your electric's off for more than 5 days, then give them light meals. Right. Once every 5 days or so, but
yeah, they can survive about 5 to 7 days without eating. But give them about 5 days. Give them very light, just enough for just a minute or so.
The idea is that
just to keep them alive.
Right.
Less waste is good.
Yeah. Before the storm hits, do as big a water change as you can.
Right.
Because you want to start out with fresh water before the electric goes out.
Right.
And you want to
just keep in mind, even before the hurricane, you're getting storms, you're getting bands.
Yeah.
So you could lose power. So get ready. Mm-hmm. Get ready as soon as you see it coming. Get ready. Do a
base.
full water. I forgot about that. A full water change as much as you can. Fresh water as you can.
Yeah. If you've got live plants in your aquarium, good. If not, get some.
Right.
Even like the devil's ivy, you've heard us talk about all the time. Throw some of that in there.
Right.
It helps with the nitrate cycle. You're going to basically be prepping the shit out of your
everything
tanks.
you can, right.
Now, if you only have one aquarium, more power to you. This is going to be easy for you. But if you're like us and have, several aquariums plus ponds,
9-ish.
you're gonna be spending all day. You're gonna be calling off
plus
to the
3
work
ponds.
that day.
It's ugly.
You'll probably be starting the night before.
Yeah.
But basically you'll be able to check the news and get a feel for when the storm's due to hit and what you're watching for those first bands.
Yeah.
You want to have everything done before those first bands hit.
Right. I mean, especially here around our area, because I swear to God, if it rains too heavy, the power goes out.
Yeah, we're in Central Florida.
But
on the coast.
On the coast, yeah, we're on the coast, so that's always fun. So, what else can we think of that's big? That we have to do big. I don't know. I think that's pretty much all the
Just
big stuff.
Fish.
Moving the fish. Okay, yeah.
Now,
So.
yeah. Now moving the fish. Not
Yeah.
everybody has an indoor koi pond. We totally understand this.
Right.
But you are going to want to move your fish indoors.
If you can.
If
you
you have,
can, and yeah.
this is especially important if you have an above ground structure for your pond, or
Right.
if you have a liner pond. The reason for it is wind can, and a lot of rain too, can uproot trees.
Uproot trees.
They can fall right the hell into your pond. They can puncture your liners. They can knock your walls over.
Right.
If you have any type of, things across your pond to prevent birds, the storm can rip those right out.
Right. So all that's got to be removed.
You're going to want to unplug
anything electrical outside.
electrical outside, which includes your filters.
Right.
So, unless you've got a filter house that's further away in its own structure, and even that's may not be completely be safe compared, deciding on how strong the storm is. You're going to want to unplug all your lights. You're going to want to unplug anything electrical that could end up in that pond.
Right.
Because believe me, storms are really great at throwing electrical devices in ponds.
Correct. And now we do have the one nice thing. I mean, we do have the much larger pond now. So the above ground pond was a problem. We had to bring the fish in. Mm-hmm. We'll talk a little bit about some of the structures we use for that. Now the deeper pond, we haven't experienced a hurricane with it yet,
right.
but we do plan on lowering the water significantly.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a liner pond, so we'll be bringing the fish in.
Just a lot of fish, but okay, yeah. Well, I guess we can because we have the indoor pond.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, I mean,
we understand that not everybody has an indoor koi pond like we do. So
right.
There are options besides the aquariums that I talked about before, which are only going to work if you have young fish, like smaller koi.
Right.
They're not going to work if your fish are over 6 inches.
Right.
Or if you have a lot of fish that are 6 inches. Now we had gone out and bought 4 of these 55s in order to accommodate all of our koi, but at the time we only had like 12 koi at the time.
Right.
We got a lot more than that now.
Right.
So what we did is we got an inflatable kiddie pool that is at least 8 feet wide. I mean, it's going to take up the entire.
Every piece of space in this room is going to be taken up by this pond or by this pool if we need to use it.
Right. We've never had to use it, thankfully, but we have it.
Right.
So if in the event that we've got a Cat 3 or higher coming directly at us for a direct hit, all of our fish outside are getting moved inside into this big kiddie pool, which we will be putting a filter and priming the shit out of, and hoping, having the generator on standby. Now, another thing you can do is the big dog baths. You've seen me put Yagori in there.
Yep.
They are not inflatable. They are just kind of freestanding. They kind of fold, and you unfold them, fill them with water. And they're good if you have a couple fish.
Right.
But if you have a lot of fish, you're going to really want to go for the inflatable pool. Or you can also get those IKEA pools.
Right.
That are freestanding, that
Right.
you'd have to set up the steel bars and then the liner in there.
Yeah, any kind of pool type thing.
any type of a pool that is easy to break down, put up, perfect.
Right. So if you have to bring them in, you make room in your space.
Yeah, you're either going to be putting them in your garage, or you're going to be putting them in your living room, or whatever room.
Wherever
if you have a
put
spare
them in.
room, throw some mattresses against the wall and set up your swimming pool. It sounds silly and it's a lot of work, but you're going to be very grateful for this because lots of things can happen besides trees falling in, and that's like some storms are super soakers.
Right.
They throw so much rain down that they can flood out your ponds.
Right.
And
we
every
actually just
year.
had that. Yeah, we had to drain. We have to drain the ponds regularly when we just get the rain because they're already pretty full to begin with.
But every year I hear people sobbing about how they lost fish because of them leaving them outside into a pond, especially like a above ground one, and the water just takes them right over.
Takes them right out.
Yeah.
So that can happen. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I mean, it depends on how crazy you are about your fish. We're pretty crazy about our fish, so we would do all this for them. Hopefully you will as well. Mm-hmm. But what else? We have other things. We were talking about using the one pond for, like, we do have some of those small preform ponds.
That I use for hospital tanks sometimes.
We have to use for the process. Well, we have all these different things that we use. Anything we can use to bring them in, to bring them safely. So if you have those.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I know people who will fill up their bathtub if they have to.
Yeah. So I mean, you just do what you got to do.
Now, the one thing you need to keep in mind is if you do something like fill up your bathtub, or you're going to want to use a dechlorinator.
I was gonna say, just to be safe.
Yeah, if you're planning on using, like, if you happen to have one of those big Roman tubs or garden tubs or something that you think, okay, I'll just fill the tub with the fish in there. use dechlorinator.
Yes.
You don't know what your water's like, plus you also have used that bathtub for soap and everything else, so you're going to want to...
So you're
that's
kind of, I would be afraid to use that, but
yeah,
I understand why they would.
Yeah, so you're going to want to clean it, and you're going to want to use dechlorinator.
And clean it with, not cleaner.
Yeah.
Scrub it with, just scrub it with water.
Yeah.
Several times.
Water and salt.
Yeah, to try to get...
do a salt scrub on it,
Yeah.
rinse all the salt out, use a dechlorinator, because you don't want, you really don't want to have any traces of like ammonia from cleaning products or anything that you might have used.
Right. And again,
so
you would need a bubbler or 2 or 6, depending on how big your...
Yeah.
But, or some filters that you have plugged into your generator.
Now, speaking of filters, when it comes to these portable ponds and whatnot, and aquariums, and I recommend this for aquariums anyway, sponge filters have a secret that it can help you out a lot. And that's unlike the types of filters that hang over the edge of the aquarium or on the wall that are partially out of the water. Sponge filters are completely submerged, which means that they're growing that beneficial bacteria that likes to turn the ammonia into stuff that isn't going to kill your fish. Right. When the power goes out and you have sponge filters, that bacteria is still alive and it's still working for you. It's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to, don't think that just because you have a sponge filter that it's going to be,
enough.
Okay. It's not.
It's going to help.
But it is really going to help you if you end up having to bring your fish in, if you got aquarium or whatnot, and you happen to have aquarium. We have 2 sponge filters in each one of our aquariums.
Correct.
Regardless of if they need them or not.
Right.
The reason for this is whenever we have to pool a hospital tank, anytime we have to pool a fish into our little kiddie pool or whatever, we can take one of the sponge filters out, put it in there, and we've already got a nice colony of bacteria working hard for us.
Yes.
So
and we've done it many times.
We have done this.
We love sponge filters. I don't know who makes them, but we love them. Just if you want to sponsor us, we love sponge filters.
Yeah. But sponge filters can definitely help you in this type of situation, because all you need is an air pump. You hook the tube up to your air pump, throw the sponge filter in the water, you already have cultivated bacteria. This is why it does pay to have more than one sponge filter in each aquarium.
Right.
If you're like we are, where you have aquariums and you have ponds, bring your fish inside, grab one of the sponge filters out of one of your aquariums, they still have another one to work with, throw it in the container with the fish.
Right. And we've done that many times. So it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're just giving you some ideas, some tips. If you have any tips, like, subscribe, comment below. I just want to make sure that you knew that. I mean, because other people may have other ideas and things that they use.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear them. We're all up for new ideas that would make our lives easier with our fish. Because it's a relaxing hobby.
Yeah, but I mean, there was like, granted we didn't have fish back then, but when we had Charlie's Angels run by.
Yeah.
We had Charlie, and then 3 more storms hit back to back to back to back.
The
Fran
Fran
and I forgot who else, but we literally had 4 storms. That's why I called it Florida Mother Nature's bowling alley, because it was literally just
one right after another, and one looped around and came back.
Yeah. So you never know what to expect during hurricane season, so it really pays to be prepared and be over prepared.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep more prime than we actually need. We keep more supplies than we actually need, because we don't know. We could lose power for a week, we could lose power for a month.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're close to a hospital, so we usually get our power up first, but...
Right, and I was out for 6 weeks. I did have a bubbler. All I had was guppies. They lasted the whole 6 weeks. I ran the bubbler every day for about a week. I had enough batteries for that, then I ran out of batteries, and nobody had batteries, because again, so many people were out of power. So I literally started doing the aeration, but I only did it like once or twice a day, and I didn't lose a guppy.
Well, it's because guppies don't require as much air as like the carp do.
Right.
So know what kind of fish you have, what kind of air requirements they have. As it stands right now, we only have one type of fish here that can survive the whole time without air at all, and that's the ropefish. Because they can breathe air. Because they have
go up there and breathe some air.
Yes, if they want air, they can go up and get it. But most fish need some sort of aeration.
Right.
And so look up too, because like my carp need a heck of a lot more air than her guppies do.
Right, because I actually was gone for 3 days when the first hurricane hit, and then I stayed for the rest of them. But so for 3 days, I lost power. They said the first day. So for 3 days they had no air, and then they had the bubbler. So they did great. So I was really lucky with the guppies.
Yeah. Well, did you have live plants in there too?
Yes.
That helps too.
I had a few live plants as well. Not many.
Yeah.
I didn't have as many as I have now, but yeah, I had
live plants help too. So, to recap, make sure that you have a hurricane kit, just like you would for your household, where you always have the bottled water, the flashlight, stuff like that, your typical hurricane kit.
Right.
You have to have a hurricane kit for your aquarium, or for your aquarium and pond, or for your pond. So, remember, generator, batteries, extension cords, ammonia blocker.
I'll say ammonia blocker's a big one.
Ammonia blocker,
Bubblers if you need them, if you have the smaller
Right,
tanks.
and if you have fish outdoors that have to come inside, you need to have some sort of receptacle to put them in, some sort of a plan for how you're going to get them, filtration and aeration. Again, we suggest keeping an extra sponge filter in an aquarium.
Right.
And honestly, if you have a koi pond where you don't have an aquarium, you might want to think about setting up like a 10-gallon tank somewhere and just run it with like a minute or two in it with the sponge filter, so you have that sponge filter ready and primed to be able to throw in.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I mean,
It sounds stupid, but
but we've survived. We haven't lost any fish and lost power, so
Yeah.
almost, but we didn't.
Yeah, and if you have everybody in your family needs to know the plan as well, because you're probably going to need help. I would not have been able to do the whole hand aerating the pond.
Yeah, if it wasn't,
If
if all
it
of
was
us
just
didn't,
me.
if all four of us didn't work together.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I mean, yeah, her mom couldn't do much, but she was there.
Yeah,
Dang it, she took
It's
turns.
like you and me and Gareth.
Yeah.
It was just,
Yeah, we did it. So, but yeah, I felt bad for your mom, but she was trying, bless her.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 80 years old, and she was up there doing the water. She used the smaller cup, but still, she did
Yeah.
it. But no, it sometimes it takes a village to do these things. So, but if you have any questions, comments, subscribe, like below. If you have any suggestions, we would love to hear them.
Yeah,
we would
tell
love to
us.
make our lives easier. If you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Anything else we can think of?
Well, there are solar powered fountains that you can get, but I've never had any experience with them, so I can't.
If you have
tell
experience
if
with
it's
solar
good.
powered fountains.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd love to try those.
I've never tried them.
Okay, we'll have to try those one day. One of these days, if you want to send us a solar powered fountain, we would love to try that.
Yeah, that might help with aeration. It's not going to help with filtration, but it might help with aeration.
Right.
Stick it outside during the day, and then have it run at
It would
night
have to be charged up fully, but
Yeah.
then it would discharge, of course, because of the hurricane, there's no sun. But well, we're willing to try anything, right? But again, like, subscribe, comment, share below. Buy stuff from our store. I have
I'm wearing a shirt this time.
Yay! Peace, love, and koi.
Peace, love, panic, and koi.
Yeah. Peace, love, and koi. Not panic.
Panic.
Yeah, there's some panic involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of panic involved
Yeah,
during
there's a lot
hurricane
of
season.
But again, and we hope you do well during hurricane season. And if you have any questions, by all means, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any suggestions for us, we'd love to hear those as well.
Yeah. We're all about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a nice evening.